I'm content though because I stopped and had the best meal of my life. I stopped and had some McDonald's. That's so. I don't think any adult eats McDonald's nowadays, and when they're done eating it, they're like, "That was delicious." I think even when kids eat McDonald's, they're like, "My stomach hurts, but I want to go back tomorrow." Right? What is in it? McDonald's is the only food you eat, and you know you messed up when it's in your throat. It doesn't even have to get to your stomach. You're like, I gotta start making mistakes. What is this? I don't care what fast food I eat. If I order French fries, I have to eat every fry. Like, I get depressed if the fries start running out. Like, I reach in the bag, I'm like, I know there was more fries in this bag. Where's the rest of those fries? Then I move the napkin out the way, and I find that one little burnt piece of crunchy fry. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, baby, right there. My meal is complete, right? Before today, I haven't been to McDonald's in like 6 or 7 months, and I was cleaning out my car, and I found some French fries in between the seats. Yes, and the fries look better than they did the day that I bought them. I was like, how is there no bacteria on these fries? You know how bad of a food you have to be for mold to be like, I don't eat that. That's a horrible food. Someone was like, did you eat the fries? I did lick one of them, and it was still salty. I didn't eat it, though. I was like, this is super salt. How is it still there? I was telling one of my friends about that on the way here. I was like, yo, I found French fries in between my seats. She was like, you found French fries? She was like, I found a burger in between my seats. I was like, a burger? I was like, what, like a wrapped up burger? She was like, no, just a patty. I said, who loses a burger patty in between their seats? How dirty is your car that you can lose a patty? I've never once went to McDonald's and was eating a cheeseburger and the meat fell from between the bun. And I just kept eating it like, oh, I guess this is just a ketchup, onion, cheese, mustard, pickle sandwich. How do you lose the patty? I started thinking about some people's cars. Some people's cars are filthy. Some people can lose a patty in their car. You ever go to get in someone's car, you get in the passenger seat, and they start apologizing as you get in, like, don't worry about it. You can step on everything. Don't worry about it. Just get in and step on that stuff. You step in, there's Aquafina bottles and all kinds of coffee cups, like... Just crushing stuff leaking on your feet the whole ride. I feel like they always have one important thing on the floor. Whoa, don't step on that. My application... Hey, why is it on the floor? It's my FAFSA. Sorry, I left it on the floor. People's cars are filthy like that. They feel pressure when more than two people ask them for a ride, right? Can I get a ride too? They're like, give me a second. Meet me at the car in 5. They gotta clean all that stuff from behind the passenger seat that they just throw back there. Gross cars.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we were just watching a very funny comedian that is the winner of the Catch a New Rising Star, the funniest comic in New England, and the Big Sky Comedy Festivals. He's been featured on Gotham Live, Laughs on Fox, and Laugh Tracks television shows in 2018. He released, as we were just watching, parts of his Dry Bar comedy special that has amassed over 40 million views worldwide. He made his national debut on the Conan O'Brien Show in 2019, and in 2020, he released his first half-hour comedy special on Epix. He can currently be heard daily on Sirius XM, and he has his own children's show called Corey's Stories, which can be seen on Zoom about 4 times a week. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very funny, the very talented Corey Rodrigues. What's up, Corey?
What's going on? How's everybody doing?
Man, it is great to have you on that show, man. On this show, the show you did in Utah for Dry Bar was pretty amazing, man. And I've heard a lot of good things about how they treat the comics when they come out there. I mean, what was your experience like being out there?
It was great. It It was great. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I didn't know what it was gonna be like. I don't. Before Dry Bar, I wasn't surrounded by many Mormons, and there weren't many Mormons in my life that I knew of.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
Utah's a heavy Mormon population. But
Yeah.
uh, great, great. So all I can say is great. I went out there. I've been out there now maybe 4 times because I went out there, filmed the special. They asked me to come back and film something else. Come out there and then do a theater, then come out there and do another show. So I've been out there a few times now working, based off of that Dry Bar special. So it's awesome. Love it.
So it looked like you had the opportunity to kind of perform in front of a full house
Yeah.
because now I think because of COVID-19, the audiences are like socially distanced.
Yeah.
And you might get half the normal number in there. And so the comedians that I've spoken with have said, it's not quite as good, under those conditions, but still they treat you really well. And the audiences are, they're pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's everywhere right now. That's not just Rebel. We can't single them out like it's that they're the ones that are making it different everywhere. Everything where I go perform now, it's socially distanced and half capacity, 25% capacity, whatever. So
yeah,
whatever the governor is saying at that time, 38% capacity, whatever it is, that's what it is at those locations. So they follow suit as well, but we got to make do. We got to make do. When I did the Epic special, I did it during quarantine, during lockdown.
Yeah.
And it was socially distanced. They just figured out ways they mic'd up every table. So we made it happen. Every table's mic'd, but the people are spread out. And it was a great situation. But yeah, I mean, would it have been crazy if it was stuffed and packed like how we love it for those laugh cracks to be coming in and the acoustic to be all
right?
Of course, but what are we gonna do?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, it's pretty much that way wherever you go now in comedy. And as we talk about that, as a matter of fact, the Epic special that you did, that was with Wanda Sykes, correct?
So no, season 1 was with Wanda.
Okay.
Season 2 was different producers.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, man, that's it. So Wanda started it, and then she kind of phased out.
Yeah, I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but I know it is something that Wanda and Paige Hurwitz started. They were doing Last Comic Stand, and they went over and they created this. It's awesome though. And then that is somebody else took that over.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Still MGM and then Epic. So
we were talking about this environment of the pandemic affecting comedians, affecting entertainment, really. I mean, you can't go out to the movies really anymore. You can't go see a play. You can't go to the theater. A lot of things have been affected, concerts, the whole nine. How are you as a comedian, as a performer, Corey? How are you dealing with that right now? I mean, you just mentioned that, you have been performing at socially distanced shows and so forth. What about Zoom? Have you been doing any Zoom shows?
A lot. So I did a lot. I've done so many corporate Zoom shows, so many just like private shows. Like I kind of jumped on early. I jumped on very early when everything was first going bad and people, when only like a few people were getting on Zoom to do comedy, and most of us comedians were complaining. They were like, "Oh,
right, exactly."
Listen, just a heads up, my cat is gonna come through a lot. She loves whenever I'm on a Zoom, she rolls through. So it's just if you like animals, great. If you don't, then just close your eyes when she's on the screen.
All right. It's all good, Corey. It's all good, bro.
I was saying that to the other people watching, but anyways, I would say. So very early on, I got into it. I really jumped in and started just doing the Zooms. I was just like, because I was thinking like I got to stay sharp at the very least,
exactly. Yeah,
like I was working a lot, man, like a lot, performing, just about every weekend during the weeks. I was doing cruises, colleges, corporates, clubs, doing all of them. Privates, so then it's like all of that, and then that just all came to a halt when everybody was very afraid of, when everyone was afraid of everything going on. We didn't know what was going on. So then as soon as these Zooms started coming out and people like, hey, you want to do my show? Want to jump on? I started doing those. And then I just started getting better at doing those. Then I started doing more corporates of it. And like I said, I started doing a lot of those shows. So a long answer is is yes. I've done a lot of Zooms. You know, that's
Yeah.
how I go through, and you get used to it. I mean, you know, some people think it's horrible; they don't want to do it, but then when we come back and get to the stage, your chops are going to be a little bit rusty.
Yeah,
You know?
look, listen, I totally agree with everything you said about that. As a comedian myself, it's like after a while, I know for me when it first started, I was like, okay, I'm just going to chill out and just see what happens.
Yeah.
I did one virtual show and I hated it because, you know, I was just, my daughter video recorded me. I'm standing there. She recorded it. I sent it in. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
And so I just sat around and waited. I said, well, you know, we'll be back eventually. And then when I realized, okay, we're not going to go back anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I had all my comedian friends inviting me to do Zoom. I said, man, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And, you know, I said, I'm not going to go crazy with it. Now, Corey, I'm like, you know what? Just like you just said, if I don't start doing this stuff on a regular basis, I'm going to get completely out of rhythm.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only go but so long without doing stand-up before it starts to affect you.
Right.
You know, have you ever met Dennis Gaxiola? He's a Latino comedian out in San Diego.
No, I never met him.
This guy, he was doing like an hour and a half on a regular basis. And he was sitting around. He said, you know what, Maurice? If you asked me to do a show right now, I don't think I could remember 15 minutes. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so I made up my mind in 2021, I'm just going Zoom crazy. Because, you know, I mean, I'm in D.C. It's too cold to be going outside, man. And we don't do a – so, but anyway, whatever. I'm with you on that. You got to perform, man.
Yeah. I mean, and at the end of the day, look, it's just my mindset was I don't love it. I love a live crowd. I love the real feedback you get from an audience, right?
Yeah.
From an audience. But at the same time, this is what it is right now. So we can be like, oh, I don't want to do it. But it's like it's another muscle to work. The same way you work clean, the same way you could work a nightclub. I can work a nightclub. I can work clean. I can work. I don't know what's going on with that phone. I'm sorry. Hold on if you want to hear that. The phone never rings. I don't want to get up and go over there. It never rings. I'm sorry. I'm in the studio.
It's all good, Corey. It's all good.
Anyways, let's do it like this. Let's let the airplane pass real quick. Hold on. Let's let
Okay.
Quiet on set, please. All right, hold. We good? Okay. No. Okay.
They really need you on this call here, man. They're serious, Corey.
Yeah, right. That never happens. That's so crazy. With cell phones, it never happens. I don't even think the house phone. Listen, it scared me when it rang because we just use cell phones. I don't even know the house phone never rings. It's just set up for security purposes.
Wow.
The security system purposes. I might have to
Man, they want you bad, Corey.
Right.
Whoa.
It's nobody. What are they gonna say? Hey, do you have a warranty? Do you have a vehicle warranty? That's what they're gonna say. I don't want that phone call. Tell me that Walmart's giving me $100 credit card. I don't care about that phone call.
It's probably Walmart, exactly.
That's Walmart telling me they're giving me $100 credit card. It is not really Walmart. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
That's all good.
Wow. Let me go do it. I didn't think I was gonna have to do it. It never rings like this. Cool. There we go.
There you go.
So I was in the middle of making a point, but I was saying that we were talking about Zoom and
and stand on rhythm, not losing your
right.
pace and on stage and all. You got to stay up there and keep going.
Right. I think I was saying something to that effect, but just like I guess ultimately what I'm saying about it is I don't, if we don't do it, like I'm not the type of person that gets caught up in like, oh, it's so bad now, just forget it. Like a lot of people were like very sad. There was a lot of people that just like crushed them. And I'm not saying I'm not happy about the situation. I'm not happy that we're in a pandemic. I'm not happy that we have to go to the computer to do shows, right? I love the crack of the crowd. I love hearing the crack back, the laughs, the energy. I love all of that. But at the end of the day, this is what the situation is. So if this is what it is, not to overuse that phrase, we got to adapt. And it's like having another tool on your belt. What I was starting to say to you before is like, just the same way you can go clean. You can go nightclub, you can go corporate, I can do colleges. I can do all of these different things that I need to do. I can do a kids show if I need to. If I can do that, why can't I put another tool on my belt and be like, if I got to go virtual, I got to go virtual. Because at the end of the day, this is now that this happened, what we don't realize as comics is this is another revenue stream for us in general and for the clubs, because now they could decide to open this up more virtually. And now they could, there's never a snow day at the club. It's never too bad. The weather's not too bad. We're switching.
Yeah, that's true. True.
It's awesome. So if you're talented or skilled enough, not talented enough, you're skilled enough to do that and you practice that, you're good. Because for the first while, all you hear is comics. When they get on these Zooms, you hear them. If they haven't done many, they'll get on and they'll say, well, all they'll talk about is how weird it is the whole time. I know, I'm at home. I'm sitting down. I don't have on pants. You don't have on pants. It's so crazy. I'm on the computer. You're on the computer. Wow. No, you guys didn't get that. If you were in the club, it would have been funny. Anyways, this is weird, right? I've never talked to just a screen like this before. I'm so 20 minutes of just how uncomfortable it is. And the people are just like, come on, we know. Just come on.
Give me your routine.
Yeah. See, that was good at first. That was good in the beginning of the whole Zoom thing because that's what it was. But now it's been happening for a little bit now. So, come on. You know what I mean? Come on. Bring yourself in. Because you can develop new jokes doing this. I've developed more material doing this that I've used on stage already. When I shot that epic special, I was developing stuff on Zoom to bring to that, mixed in with some stuff that I had already been doing,
Well, I was about to ask you, have you had a chance to really expand your material and do a lot more writing than you would normally do?
I won't say than I would normally do, but I definitely have expanded my material. But what I would, because I was getting up so much, to be honest with you, that I'm constantly writing and adding and writing, stage writing and adding, just the way my process is. But so I would say I definitely have expanded some material. I don't know if it would be more, but I definitely have grown.
Yeah. One thing I think this platform has allowed us to, you said putting something more into your toolbox. I have friends now in the UK, comedy friends in Turkey, England, which is the UK, Italy. So, I never would have had those friends before.
Yeah.
And I can collaborate with, comics all over the world. Well, all over the country. I know guys that I never would have met before all over the country and the world now. So now it creates more opportunities.
Right.
And I actually think, and I'd love to hear your response to this, I actually think that once we get back to normal, because I think we will eventually get back to normal. However, I think we're going to take this platform with us. And this isn't going anywhere is what I'm saying. Zoom's not going anywhere. It's expanded our abilities to reach more people.
Right. 100%. I can't deny it. I think it opens another revenue stream. I think
it does.
Sure. But people have been enlightened. Even if you want to independently do shows, because here's the thing, even when the world comes back, right, when everybody is good, everybody's not going to be good. Most people in the world have never been to a comedy show. That's a fact. Most people, United States, haven't been to a comedy show. The numbers are unbelievable. The percentages of people that have never been to a show, who don't even watch live comedy, who've never been in the comedy world like that. Right? We think a lot of people do because we are in the circle of people that do.
Okay.
But there's a lot that don't. So
interesting. Never thought about that. That's interesting.
Yeah. When they break down the numbers are staggering, right? So now when you take those people plus the people that are going to be, just because the world's open back up doesn't mean everybody's comfortable to come back out. There's people who are afraid to leave the house now. So you know what I mean? Pre-pandemic, they didn't want to leave the house. They're like, I don't want to see. But if they could watch a show at home, wow. Now you have people who, as the world starts to roll back around, they're still going to be a little bit uncomfortable. They're not going to want to go right out the house and be in crowds of people. There's going to be the two parties of people. There's going to be people who are excited to get out the house. They want to rush in. They want to fill these rooms up. They don't care. They'll sit next to whoever just to get it out of their house, right? You got them. Then you got the other people who are like, I'm not going around people for 2 years. I'm cool. I don't want to go outside still. Like, I'll go do my essentials. I know I'm fine, but I'm not going to be out there just I'm not going to be tempting and taunting myself with getting sick or something like that. Now, those people want to jump on and watch a show live. Like, how cool would it be for them for there to be a crowd? Like, this is an idea I was thinking about, is like, have a club set up where the club can be packed again if we're okay, right? Have it packed, right, whatever capacity that is, and then have the virtual set up so people are at home watching the show just the same. They're at home watching the show, potentially even watching the show from the bird's eye view or the eye view of the people sitting in the crowd. You know, you got this person at table 17 sitting there with their friends. You never have FOMO anymore. There's no
that's true.
That's true. Because your friends go, whatever. This is technology that's going to be there. You know, it's there. You can have it at a table. Somebody sitting there with their friends, they watching the show. And, you know, based on the cameras, you'd be like, oh, we're at table 17. Uzu, now your video streams on table 17. Friends laugh, you know. I don't know. I don't think all that's so crazy. I think it's going to happen. And then it just is what it is. But
I agree. I think it's just going to make things better. And as we talk about transitioning into new things, I want to get into a new idea that you've come up with as telling stories to children. It's called Corey's Stories, something that you've created, and which is really cool, man. I mean, my kids are big now, man, like 20, 24, 22, 19, you know what I mean? I mean, that my kid, and you know what? I used to tell them all the time. I said, look, when they were growing up, I said, look, you're not thugs. Okay. Understand that you're not thugs. Okay. You have a dad who's a black man that talks like Tom Hanks. So that ain't gonna work too good at the cookout. You know what I mean, Corey? So just stop. But no, man, I love it. I mean, you've come up with this idea for kids. And tell us a little bit about Corey's Stories.
Yeah, so I was just from everybody being in the house and everybody being so on top of each other. Talking to friends and stuff, and they just were like, oh, you know, kids getting on my nerves, everybody's getting on my nerves. And you know, a lot of people, parents, you know, brothers, siblings, whatever, you're not used to you get some time away. But during this whole thing, people have been locked down more, a little more cabin fever. So I was like, what is a way that I could like relieve some of that for people? Like, you know, like it, you know, you may love reading to your kid, right? Reading to your child. A lot of people do, but some people be like, it becomes a task if you got to do it every night. Every night you're the one doing it, whatever. Maybe so I was like, man, it'd be fun if they had a way that they could still get some books, still get read to, or still have some sort of programming that's not like forcing education down their throat, but still is fun and still is family friendly for them to be able to watch for 30 minutes or an hour before they go to sleep at night, 30, 45 minutes, something like that. Yeah. You know, so I just started it, and I started reading books, and my friends were all tuning in, and other people started tuning in. And so it started growing from there. And I was doing it on Facebook Live. And I started doing it a bunch. And then more and more people started going in. And I started bringing guests on the show. I would have different guests come on, and different comedians would come on, and I'd have the comics come on and tell a joke. They'd make up a couple jokes, just make up some kid appropriate jokes, you know? So it's like, you know, pushing their creativity a little bit to step outside the box. Cause I was getting comics that do everything to come in and make some kids jokes, or just figure out different things they wanted to do. And then I had different authors come on. And then I started getting to the point where I was like, okay, I'm reading these books, and I'm a pretty energetic person. And the show was pretty energetic. Started kind of like, the book time was cool, but it was like that wasn't the funnest time. You know, that was the time. It was kind of downtime. I'm reading, and I was like, So I decided with my son, we would make up stories. So we improvise stories. Now, towards the end of the show, what we started doing is improvising stories instead of reading a book. So we take a word, we get an inspiration for a word, and then we just make up a story. Okay. You know? So we started doing that. So we're just having some fun like that. You know, that's what we ended up doing.
Well, and just like this show that I'm doing, I've always wanted to do a show like this, but I was chasing so many comedy shows and so forth. And I tried to implement this into what I was doing at the comedy club or wherever I would perform. And I got about 25 shows in, but dude, it was so difficult. And It just I couldn't focus on why I was there, which was to do comedy, and I stopped. But now that I'm in this situation, I've got nothing but time to focus on something new. Like I'm going to take this with me whenever we get back. I'm sure you're going to take Corey's stories as well, and all the other things that we're doing on this platform. Like you can get a tour organized with 4 or 5 of your comedy friends. You don't have to pay for hotels. You don't have to pay for food. You don't have to pay for travel. You just show up on the screen.
Right.
And you sell tickets and put your shows on that way. I mean, this is actually making things a lot better. And also you said, adding to your toolbox, okay, you can do clean comedy. You can do a children's show. You can do the comedy club. I mean, your versatility, of course, you were already doing it before, but I mean, with Zoom and this platform, it still gives you more opportunities to expand. And I love the fact that you did the dry bar. How much was it? Obviously, it wasn't that much of a challenge, but what inspired you to do the dry bar?
I would say at the time, to be honest, Maurice, at the time, it was probably a little bit of a challenge. At the time, it probably was a little bit of a challenge. I would say that only because I wasn't like particularly Canadian. You know what I mean? Even now, I would say that's one of the angles that I have, or one of my personalities, or one of my skill sets. You know what I mean? Is a clean comedian. But at the time, I had done clean sets and stuff like that before. But then when it was time to do dry bar, I just was like, you know what? I don't need to cuss. I don't need to talk about sex in order to pull this set off. And exactly. When you go do that show for the Mormons, they like lay it down. Like there's a lot they don't want you to talk about. Like at one point I said during the show, this is during one of my tapings, and this is obviously edited out. But at one point I was like, I was like, I heard a noise and I went downstairs and my girlfriend was upstairs, and this lady says out loud, she goes, he means his wife. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't even, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm talking about sleeping with somebody in the house, we're living together. The lady yells out in the middle of the special. She goes, he means his wife. And I was just like, okay. And so it was just kind of funny, but whatever. Yeah. That's giving you an idea of how like they kind of were, but it wasn't crazy or anything. It was just like, that was the one time anybody yelled anything out to say anything. It's just that's what they believe. So, to get back to your question, it wasn't super difficult, but it was a challenge a little bit, to edit what words that I wanted to say, to not lean on, because I like to speak freely. When I'm on stage, I like to speak comfortably, I like to be able to, if a cuss word is going to come out, it's just going to come out. I'm not purposely trying to pull it back. If I'm speaking freely, that's how I talk. That's one in a relaxed state of mind and a relaxed flow. Sometimes
that's the way you talk.
That's how I talk. Right. But there's other times I haven't cussed once as we're talking here, and I'm very relaxed and I'm very free. I have to say I don't need to, but if I'm completely relaxed, I'm gonna drop some whatevers. I'm gonna drop some yam. That's how I talk.
Right. Right.
So whenever you're on stage and you're doing that and you haven't done it a lot, then it's like an editing that's happening, active editing. So there was some of that going on. So, but after I did that and I noticed, I saw what I was able to do. It just opened up a monster. I started getting all this clean work. I was going to do these festivals clean. I was going to do so much more stuff.
Yes.
Just because of a lot of this comedy stuff is just about confidence. Having the confidence to do that next thing. And once you see that you can do it, you're like, oh, I can do that again, no problem. But that's what it is. So, and a lot of the comics are afraid to do certain things, and so it's just because they don't have the confidence in that area. Once they do it, they're like, oh wow, it was great.
It's really not that difficult. I try to get a lot of comics to understand that. I mean, what you did by doing a dry bar, I mean, you did like 40-45 minutes clean. It was awesome. It was beautiful, and you killed. And a lot of comedians need to do that. Because quite frankly and honestly, you're going to get more revenue streams performing clean.
Yes.
There's no question about that.
Yes.
And you're going to go places you could never go if you learn how to be a clean comic. So, you know, you did a whole lot for your career by doing that and getting it done, because it's not that hard to do. A lot of guys think that they have to cuss or they have to use shock words to get people to laugh, and you don't. You don't have to do that. Now, you do want to be true to yourself at the same time. I mean, if this is the way you are, hey, that's the way you are. But it's not going to kill you to go, yeah, but you know what? I'm gonna do a clean show. I'm just gonna do a clean show. Why not? You know, and it's just something that just expands your career.
Yeah, well, I would say also, just to throw in, I would also say that, you know, I think okay, well, I think a couple things here. I think one, I don't think there's anything wrong with not being clean. I think you go with play it however you want to play it. If you don't want to be clean, because maybe this dry bar is not for everybody. It's
No,
not.
no, it's not.
But at the same time, I would challenge somebody and say, you know, unless you have only blue material, unless you have only sex related, heavily political, racial, unless you have all controversial stuff, everything that is just what they're asking you not to do, then I would challenge yourself to try it and do it, only because there are different versions of said people. Everybody knows that. Like, if the same person who can't control their language, if they're going into a job interview, how are they speaking? They're being true to themselves. If it's them in there, that's them.
Yeah.
In the interview, it's just you not using your profanity, or it's you not being, being reckless speaking. So, something like I get it. So something that annoys me, right, is that when sometimes comics will say, I'll be talking to some of the comics and they'll say, like, I do a lot of colleges and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, colleges, it's the worst. They're so PC. They're so sensitive about everything. You can't say anything when you go to these colleges and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, how many have you done? They're like, I haven't done them because Jerry Seinfeld said it. Chris Rock said it. You know what I mean? Louis C.K. said you can't go in there. They said they're not even doing them anymore. And I'm like, they've earned the right to push colleges to
They have.
You haven't yet. You haven't done them. I do a lot of them.
Totally agree.
Go fine. I get a lot of repeat business at these schools. It's not that I go in there so squeaky clean. I go in there and talk crazy at a lot of these schools. No, you have to learn that you have to get by the gatekeeper of the school. You have to get by. You have to go into the NACAs and the APCAs that they have, these conferences. You have to go. You need to go be clean there. You need to go do well there. But when you get on the campus, a lot of times they're like, these kids are adults. Do what you do, obviously. But you're not gonna go in there and be like, I mean, now granted, realize where you are. Yes, the kids are more sensitive now, right? Yes, the kids are more sensitive, but you're not gonna go in there and be like, oh, what's going on, fatty? Look at you, why you got purple hair? Look at this fat guy with the purple hair up front. He's probably gay, right? You're not gonna go in there and say that to a group of college kids. That's not how they get down anymore. You're gonna, you're messing up your work. What are you doing? If you want to make that money, what are you doing? And you can still be true to yourself without putting somebody down or messing with this. That's what the kids don't want you to do. That they're different in that area now than we are. The world is different in that area now. So it just gets annoying when you hear people. When I hear, it's like you're not like, it's almost like when I hear someone say, "Oh, that crowd's terrible. It's a real bad crowd," and it's like, you've been doing it 2 years. Like, you're not qualified to say how bad the crowd is, because I just went out there and did well, or the other comedian just went out there and did well. They were bad for you, but maybe you were bad. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You're not, if you've been doing it, if you haven't been doing it long enough, you're not qualified to talk. If you're a new, you're I don't know. If you're a new artist or something, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you're qualified to talk about, you're going and you're looking at all these pictures. I don't know. You don't understand them yet. You don't even get it yet. You talking about all these pieces. What kind of piece is this? What kind of period piece is this? You have no idea. And you're like, that's ugly. Like, this is what I used to think. I used to watch, growing up, I used to watch, I would watch Def Comedy Jam and BET, Comic View. And this is the comedy that I love. This is what makes me laugh. It relates to me. This is like, well, I'm like, this is my family. This is my people. When I would flip
Right.
over to Comedy Central, I would be like, ugh, how are they laughing at this? What is this? Right? This is before I was a comedian. I'm like, what is this joke? I couldn't even follow the structure of the joke. It would be something so ridiculous, like, and then it rained. And I was like, what is that? Why are they laughing? Why are these people cracking up? None of it touched me, and none of it affected me. Once I got in the game and started doing comedy, I'm like, oh, that was a good joke right there. That was funny. Like, my ears were incapable of hearing the cadence that they were delivering, black or white, when I'm watching something like Comedy Central as opposed to Comic View or Def Comedy Jam.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, I speak that language, so I can't even understand German over there that they're speaking on Comedy Central. And then I started getting into it. And then when you understand, you can't like Saturday Night Live if you don't understand what's going on in the world at the time. You don't understand the satire. If you don't know what's happening, if you haven't watched the news, how fun is it you're watching some of this stuff? You're like, why are they laughing at this stuff? Why are these people cracking up? You know what I mean?
Let me give you a good example that would kind of expound on what you're saying. I was talking to my brother yesterday, and I said, yeah, as an African American, here, check this out. This is lining up with exactly what you just said. The best sitcom that I have ever seen in my life is Sanford and Son, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Red Fox. But the second, in my opinion, the second best that I've ever seen is Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
But these are two distinctly different types of humor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Red Fox, we're talking about ghetto. We're talking about Watts, California back in the day. I mean, it is straight ghetto. Yeah. And I love it because I can resonate with it.
Right.
But on the other side, there's Seinfeld, Jewish white guy from New York talking about life in that realm. Well, as a comic, get this one now. As a comic, Corey, you go, wait a minute, hold on. Let me just like zone in, and I'm like watching it from a comedic perspective. It's awesome. Yeah. To me.
Yes.
To me, Seinfeld is awesome.
Yes.
Right. 100%. But it's all about comedy and the craft of comedy. So when you look at it from that standpoint, then you understand the game and what it's really about. So when you're on stage and you're performing to a certain demographic, I did a show about blackface in front of a bunch of African Americans and Latinos in the audience and killed because they had the issue in Northern Virginia with Governor Ralph Northam. I don't know if you remember that story or not. They were slamming him because he had all these pictures of blackface in his yearbook or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So I was making a lot of jokes about it, and it killed at this place. Then I went to a young Republican audience in Northwest D.C., 25 to 35, right in that area. They were all pages down at government, in these government buildings, and they just looked at me like I was crazy.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And now, was it their fault? No, it wasn't their fault. It was like, you have to figure out a way. How do I can still get the joke over, but you have to find out, how do you get this joke over in this demographic?
Right.
But it's not their fault.
Right.
That's on me.
Right. They might not, some of them don't, you're not touching what they may care about. They might not even care. They might not even care about it. And so without presenting that joke in a way to soften or to introduce it that way, then it's not going to matter. So that's why people get confused when you watch a special. Yeah. The special is for everybody, right? So everybody watching that special, you don't know who's watching it at home, how they're watching it, but they know the crowd they're in front of. So if they're in front of a certain crowd, that joke is killing. Now, somebody at home, all those people who you're talking about in that particular crowd could be watching you do that joke on a special and be like, I didn't like that one. I love the rest of the special. That's fine because that's a special. But sometimes even as a comedian, you can get confused and think like, I just got to do whatever, whenever I do whatever, however I want to do it, wherever I'm at, because that's what they did on the special. And it's like, that was already recorded in front of those people and put out to the world. Now you can decide what you're going to do with that.
Yeah.
That's not live how you operate when you go around place to place. You need to know where you are, know your room, know what you're going to be able to work in that room, And I think there's always this weird fight that I feel like is so ambiguous to so many of like, am I being real, or am I reading like the fight of reading the room, pandering,
yeah,
and being real.
yeah.
It's like you gotta. Those are the things that I think as you develop in comedy, you need to figure out.
You got to
Reading the
figure it out.
room, pandering, and being real to yourself, because people
Yeah.
get those confused. Sometimes people take someone who's smart enough to read the room as pandering, or someone who's smart enough to read the room as not being real to themselves. And it's like, no, this person sees. He's not going to go and talk about a lot of equality type situations in this room. They don't care. So you can say it for the purposes of you being like, I said what I wanted to say in front of them. But if you're there to make the people laugh, you might want to use a different set of your jokes. I'm not telling you to change and pretend you're something different. Just use different jokes that you have, or maybe you shouldn't be there doing that room.
And here's the other thing, Corey. You also want to focus on, hey, just be funny. See, if you take the attitude, well, I'm going to say what I want to say, I don't care. All right, that's fine. Are you trying to be funny, or are you just trying to make a statement?
Right.
Because if you're trying to make a statement, you don't expect people necessarily to like you very much.
Right.
You're the purpose for you being there is for them to like you and make it. You're there to make people laugh and have a good time. That's why you're there, right?
Right.
So that's where you got to start.
I mean, the only pushback I say on what you said is, I wouldn't say the purpose that you're there is for them to like you. I say the purpose is there is to make them laugh. Now, whether they like you or not is a whole nother thing. Of course, you want to be likable, but you can't control that. Some people don't like your face when you walk out. They're like, ugh, he looks like my uncle. You know, I don't like him. You know what I mean? This dude looks like, I don't, you know, they don't want you. They don't, whatever reason, they don't like you. He's too short. He's too black. He's too fat. He's too whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. Doesn't matter. But the purpose is to make those people laugh, since we're comedians and that's the job. But there are people who say they do want to make a statement. See, and this is another teeter-totter to figure out when you're a comedian. Are you the type of comedian that wants to make points and have a purpose behind everything? Do you want to be silly? You know what I mean? Do you want to be Chappelle? Or you want to be Tony Roberts? You want to be Chappelle or George Lopez? What do you want to do? You see what I'm saying? Like, you can go up and just talk and just be hilarious and say whatever funny stuff you want and never touch anything moderately or mildly offensive or controversial.
Yeah.
You know, or you could be like, nah, I like touching these topics and I like digging my way out of making these things funny. The thing with art is sometimes we're afraid to say, like, all right, I know you like doing that, but you're not good at doing that. But because we're always taught to be like, wait, that person can get really good at any time, so you better chill out. It's almost like calling somebody's baby ugly. It's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like bad luck, bad karma. Don't do that. So somebody else could not. So quietly amongst your close friends, you'll say, I don't think that person's very good. But outwardly, I mean, it's got, you know, you don't do that. You know, you wouldn't be like, I know this person wants to make points, and I know they want to be controversial, and I know they want to be like edgy, but they're not good at that. Because why sometimes it's, as artists, we're afraid to say that about another performer or something, because they're like, just worry about yourself, worry about what you do. It's like, yeah, but since I do it, I do have some judgment on it. It's just that I'm not going to put it out there in the ether for everybody to hear, but I'll talk to my close friends about it. Because why can't you say, if somebody's not good at something, you should be able to be like, you need to know that so you know how to gauge yourself.
Right.
But this, like, when you do this, and I'm sure this falls in areas of life for many other people, there's so many mixed messages about doing this. It's like about just who you're supposed to be. So I can see how people get lost in confusion if you can't ground yourself. Here's what I mean. Let me throw this silly circle talk, what I'm saying. Here's what I mean. Someone will say, don't worry about other people, worry about yourself. No one can give you advice. You got to follow your own path. Someone else will say, make sure you model yourself after the ones that you really want to get what they have. Those are the ones you want to model yourself after and forget everybody else. Somebody will say, don't take anybody's advice. Nobody can tell you. They can only tell you what they did. They can't tell you what you to do. Somebody else will say, take everything that somebody says with a grain of salt. Use what you can use and throw the rest of it away. Right. Yeah. Somebody else would say, there's all these different ways. That somebody will say, never be content. Never be content, because if you're content, that means that that means that you're not growing. If you're content, if you get content, that means you're not growing. You're not doing what you need to do. Right?
Yeah.
That's what someone will tell you. Somebody else would say, and this is how I feel. I haven't heard many people say this, but this is how I feel about it. I want to be content, and I want to keep growing. Like it's not. They're not either or for me. Because at one point, I'm not going to run on a hamster wheel all my life. And that's in life. That's gaining finances. That's being a good person. That's learning comedy, doing comedy. That's do everything. I'm not going to do that. Imagine if you were running on the hamster wheel of your life and not being content with your car. Let's just take something simple, because people want you to do it with your life. Let's take something more simple and see what that does to you.
Yeah.
If you were never going to be content with your car, how often does it mean you're going to get a new car? Because if you're never content with your car, I mean, you get a new car every 6 months. Are you getting a car every year? Are you getting a car every 2 months? What's the parameters here? We're getting a new car.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be content so you can enjoy what you have. Like, I want to enjoy my life. Like, people, not to be morbid, but you don't know when you're going to die. You don't know when you're going to pass. If you never enjoy anything and you just struggle trying to get everything all the time, then what do you? What kind of life is that? Yeah. But people get that confused with not trying. I'm not saying that. I think the basis of everything is you still got to be doing stuff. You still got to be trying things, but you got to learn to enjoy the stuff that you're doing and that you have in the meantime. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're crazy. You're going crazy. You might be dead. And you was like, I was trying, dead. Instead of like trying, enjoying, achieving, enjoying. I like that pattern. I like that much better.
I totally agree with everything you're saying, Corey. And with that, I want to take a quick little exit off the main road. As we're celebrating Black History Month, I had Berlinda Sullen on my show about a month ago. She's a principal down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. She turned the high school Booker T. Washington completely around. I mean, it was just so chaotic. It was a dysfunctional school. You had a lot of drug use. You had a lot of teenage pregnancies, an impoverished community. A lot of kids didn't have the things that they really needed, food, lacking clothes. It was, juvenile detention issues, the whole 9 yards. She turned that thing around. And there's a film called Love Goes Public, which was directed and produced by Kevin J. Flanagan. And if you don't mind, Corey, let me just show that trailer real quick.
It bothers me when people characterize any kid as a bad kid. Kids aren't born bad. Kids are taught to be bad. The Black Belt of Alabama is primarily all African American citizens, where a large number of them live in poverty. The school became chaotic.
It was like a madhouse. Riots were breaking out, kids were fighting.
Gang violence, drugs, weapons.
You know where people was having sex at. The little dugouts, the hideouts.
12 pregnancies per year, 40% dropout rate.
It didn't seem like the kids had any structure. I honestly thought, I can't stay here.
Miss Sullen came in like gangbusters.
There was a parent yelling, screaming, and she says, if you're ready to fight and do all those things you're saying, come on, I'm ready now.
If you are not here for these children, you will not remain here.
I said, Lord, what do you want me to do with this? He said, you got to bring me in here. And I did.
No one wants prayer in school anymore. But what about that little boy or girl that had to listen to mom and dad argue all night, and they were frightened.
Amen.
Love goes public, and there's Berlinda Sullen's number right there for anyone that's watching. If you want to just donate food items or any type of donation you can make to help the impoverished community down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Berlinda Sullen is the contact person. 334-421-0148. Yeah, Corey, I had her on the show about a month ago, man, and it's an incredible film. I highly advise you to check it out. If you ever get an opportunity, you can watch it on the Tubi platform. You'll have to watch commercials, but it's free. The film would be free to watch.
Tubi, what platform?
Tubi, Tubi.
Oh, Tubi. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tubi. Yeah, I will. I'll watch it for sure.
Yeah. Check it out.
That looked good. I want to watch it.
Oh my gosh, dude, that is a powerful film, dude. And she turned it around completely. That school is in order. They're doing all the things they need to do. They're helping these kids that, like I said, they've had some teenage pregnancies there. She's taking them into her home, and she's just...
All right, don't tell me the whole movie, Maurice. I want to watch it.
Okay, check it out, Corey. It's a great film, dude. Great film. So anyway, I don't want to switch back to our convo, dude. I wanted to ask you, how do you deal with, because we're talking about all these different demographics, how do you deal with hecklers when you're on stage?
I think really early on, this is so funny. I think really early on, I was defensive because it was insecurity with what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I remember that feeling a couple of times. Really, this was very early on into doing this. I remember being like, man, I feel like when someone would walk in the room late, I feel like they were heckling me. Like they just be walking up like, look at this guy late. What's wrong with this guy? Now I'm like ripping into this person who's coming into the show.
Yeah.
Anybody said anything. Sometimes people are agreeing with you. They're like, yeah, that's true. That's true. And I'm like, then I'm ripping into that person. Why are you talking about that? Right. That was insecurity at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you do it for a while, you get more comfortable. And I'm like, I started thinking like, man, I love this person that coming to the show. Yeah, they're late. Maybe I point something. I'm not jabbing them though, like hurting their feelings, making them look stupid. Yeah, sometimes you don't realize somebody's talking, they're agreeing with you.
Yeah,
like, let them
exactly.
ride,
That's true.
be,
Yeah.
But sometimes you're so stuck, you're so edgy because you're like, oh, and it's your own insecurity. So anyway,
exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Early on, I was defensive. After like 3 or 4 years, this or something, I was headlining kind of early. I was headlining probably like 3 years in, something like that. I was starting to headline shows and stuff. And so then I just started to get more comfortable, and really what started to happen for me was like, if heckling was like I handle it very well. I'm usually pretty nice.
Yeah.
Because I'm not like mean-natured, evil-natured, or like angry a lot.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not too edgy when I'm up there. I'm pretty free-flowing.
Okay.
So if something does come my way, I'll usually roll with it. What I found though is that people are having such a good time that they police themselves. Like if someone's chirping too much, people are like, yo, you got to shut up, man. Like we paid to be here and we're trying to have a good time. You're interrupting the show.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of like people coming out of pocket, like being crazy, because they really get removed. I mean, by the people. Because people are like they're laughing, having a good time. You're disruptive. You're not doing something better than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So then you're ruining what's happening. Now, if you're doing something better than what I'm doing, then I'm more power to you. Then I might be like, hey man, what you got? Like we can play that way. So to be honest with you, I really haven't dealt with a ton of it because I typically am doing well enough that the people don't want to hear somebody else interrupting their show.
Very, very, very true. And I found the same thing when I'm up there. Usually people are just like they're excited. They think they're helping you, especially if they've been drinking. They really get hyped then. But it's not coming from a mean place. So you have to have enough confidence in yourself to just kind of, like you said, roll with it. And, say, oh, sir, you're absolutely right. But just get a hold of the rest of the story. You're going to love it. I might say something like that. They'll sit down and they'll become interested in what I'm going to say. 95% of the time, they're not trying to be mean. And so once you understand that, you have enough confidence in yourself to just kind of like you said again, just roll with it and keep doing your set. They usually go away. Every now and then you'll get a guy that is, and it hasn't happened to me very often, just someone that was dedicatedly there to mess with you, right? It hasn't happened very often. I had one guy, Corey, dude, I had one guy that got mad and he was mumbling and saying stuff under his breath. And then he charged the stage.
Yeah.
He stopped right in front of the stage. And I was like, everybody calm down. It's okay. He's just excited. I promised him we'd chase Pokemon after the show. It's all right. And so everybody started laughing. He was embarrassed and he went and sat down. But I wasn't mean. I didn't get into the space or the headspace that he was in. And he just went to the back and sat down. He muttered to him, but he sat down. So anyway, that's the only time I've really had it bad with somebody that was dedicatedly mean. Most of the time, hecklers aren't what comedians make them out to be. There are comedians out there, Jack, that want to destroy a heckler.
Yeah, I mean, there are some, because, and again, I will if I have to. I genuinely want people. I love seeing people laughing and having a good time. If it's necessary, to rip into somebody, I will.
Yeah,
but I don't like. It's almost like fighting, right?
Yeah.
If I have to fight, I will, and I'll hold my own to the best of my ability. If you got better skills, you got better skills. But I got pretty good skills, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to.
Right.
I'd rather not fight. I'd rather not.
Exactly.
Deal with the heckler if I don't have to. You know what I mean? I'd rather
100%.
talk them down. You know, but if we got to do it, we got to do it.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, there's usually enough people in the crowd, metaphorically talking about the fight. There's usually enough people that are like, no, you guys back up, man. Leave them alone, man. Get away.
Yeah.
There's usually enough people that are like, yo, we paid. We're trying to have a good time. Like, I've had the crowd just turn them like, hey, man, you guys shut up, man. You guys shut up. We're trying to hear them. Like, now, if you're doing bad, here's where the heckles will come. If you're not doing good, and then somebody,
that's bad. Then you're done.
In that room, in that Republican room with the situation, and you're doing the blackface joke. Now, if somebody starts heckling, they're like, you got blackface on right now. Now you in it, because now they laughing at that, and now it's on and popping. Now you you in the fisticuffs with it a little bit. You gotta go. You gotta battle back out of that. Get back, maintain control, get back. But that's just what we do.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the situation, and it all depends on. But sidetrack real quick. When they are drunk, there's no like sometimes when someone is too drunk, I found the only way to handle them is to I always try to be nice, because usually it's not somebody drunk alone. So usually it's one drunk person with a party of people.
Yeah.
So I'll try to give them a chance. There's a table of 10. There's one of the people who's like, right? They're drunk. They're yelling out when they shouldn't. No, I heard that one. You know what I mean? They're yelling it out. So when you get that person, what you trying to? I'm trying to keep their whole party there first. I'm trying to let them know, like, hey, they can tell your friend or whatever. If you have to control them. Now, if they just try to let him be rogue, now they all gonna have to leave, because at a certain point, when someone's drunk and inebriated, they're gonna it's not about winning over the heckler or destroying the heckler, because they don't have any sense of self. They don't have any. You can say anything. You can say the best comebacks, the best put downs, the best rebuttals, whatever you want to say in the world. If they're too drunk, it doesn't even register, and so they're just gonna keep going anyway. Yeah, that's right. Tuesday, and you're like, what is he talking about Tuesday? Now he's just interrupting the show. And so when you get to that point with somebody, they have to be removed. Otherwise, they're ruining the show.
Yeah, they have to be removed.
Ruin it for everybody.
And I watched this young lady, and this has been a great, man, this hour has gone by just like that, Corey. Man, we're going to have to wrap it up, man, but this has been a great convo. But I do want to in real quick with this. That happened to me once. A female comedian. I'm not a comedian. She was an audience member, but she was fried, dude. And she went in on every comic. Now I'm like coming up. I'm watching this. I'm like, I hope they remove her before I get up there, because like when they're drunk, man, you can't do anything.
Right.
And I got up there, dude, and man, she started in, and I did everything I could do to avoid trying to put her down.
Right.
I did everything. And I guess she just kind of went, you know what? I'm not going to mess with them. And she sat down. She finally sat down. But because no one knew my set, no one realized I was completely messed up. I mean, I was telling the third joke when it should have been the first joke, and the second joke ended up being the last. I mean, I was messed up. She messed me up so bad, dude. But like I said, again, no one really knew my routine, so they didn't know how bad it was. But it was bad. I was messed up. I couldn't think. And you're right. When they've been drinking too much, dude, it's just, especially, and I hate to say this, dude, you get a female drunk who made up her mind she's going to be disruptive. You were in for it, dude. Yeah. But anyway, it's all good. It happens. It's part of the game. There's so many things that we could get into. I hate the fact that I didn't even ask half the questions that I wanted to ask. That's how good this conversation has been. Corey, is there any way, how can fans follow you on social media or contact you for booking?
Yeah, for sure. You hit me up on CoreyRodrigues.com. Corey with an E,
okay.
Rodrigues with an S. CoreyRodrigues.com. And then on Instagram, you guys add me on Instagram at Corey Rods, CoreyRods. If you don't use Instagram, there's always Facebook, and that's just Facebook.com/Corey Rodrigues.
Awesome stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with the very funny and the very talented Corey Rodrigues on the Maurice Brown Show. Corey, thanks again for being on, man. May the peace of Christ be with you and your family, brother. Thank you so much. God bless you.